Thank you, viewers, for tuning into the Newance Podcast, bringing you the top news in the cannabis industry. I'm your host, Arnel Newton, and today some of the stories I'll be covering are Illinois legislation votes to legalize recreational use, also Ben&Jerry jumping into the cannabis industry, and also New Mexico could be passing recreational use as early as 2020. So please stay tuned. We have a very good show lined up for you today.
Oh Lord, celebrating life.
So thank you for tuning into the Newance Podcast. I am your host, Arnel Newton, and today's show is sponsored by Newance Laboratory. Newance Laboratory provides the highest quality of analytical testing within the cannabis industry. So make sure your products are Newance approved. And with that being said, I'm going to be jumping into my first story, and that is Illinois legislation votes to legalize recreational use. Illinois House of Representatives has voted to legalize the possession and sale of cannabis to the residents over the age of 21, making it the 11th state to establish recreational cannabis use in the United States. See, legislation which passed in a bipartisan 66-47 vote will now go to the desk of Governor J.B. Pritzker, who campaigned for the platform of cannabis legalization. And he also said if the bill ever made it to his table, he would sign it. See, under the new legislation, which will take effect January 1st, Illinois residents over the age of 21 can possess up to 30 grams of cannabis, 5 grams of cannabis concentrated, or a cannabis-infused product that contains 500 milligrams of THC, while non-residents can possess up to 15 grams of cannabis. However, under the legislature provision, it directs Governor Pritzker to pardon low-level cannabis offenders currently incarcerated in the state, allocate funds to social programs that direct communities that are most harmed by the war on drugs. Also, create an equality program to facilitate minority participation in the industry throughout the provision of a loan and credit lines. The recreational cannabis market is expected to generate over $57 billion in annual revenue for the state of Illinois. So they definitely don't want to leave African Americans out or any type of minority groups from joining the industry. And that will be our story for Illinois. Our next story we'll be jumping into is Ben&Jerry is hopping on to the cannabis trend with a CBD-infused ice cream. See, Ben&Jerry is looking to release a CBD-infused ice cream ever since the people have discovered the benefits of cannabinoids, also known as CBD. Announced on an Instagram post, they plan to release a CBD-infused ice cream relatively soon. Typical flower contains mostly THC that has psychoactive properties, while CBD gives most of the medical benefits without the high effect. If you read a Twitter feed, it has trend alert. CBD-infused ice cream is coming to the freezer near you. But in the meantime, CBD is still being regulated federally under the U.S., but the company is hoping that after a hearing on the legislation of CBD-infused food and beverages, they'll be good to go after the hearing. And that hearing is expected to happen in July. Our last but not least story that we'll be getting into is recreational marijuana use in New Mexico could pass in 2020. You see, New Mexico lawmakers came very close to legalizing recreational use of marijuana this year, but 4 senators happened to stand in the way of that happening. But that could change in 2020. See, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is planning to put cannabis back on next year's legislature agenda. In the meantime, Governor General William Barr has asked Congress to solve the dilemma between eliminating the discrepancies between the federal and state statutes that prohibits the cannabis industry from moving forward. Another question yet to be settled has to do with the workplace on the drug policy. A 2016 decision by the U.S. District Court of New Mexico indicated that employees may not be forced to violate federal laws and therefore could set zero-tolerance work policy. This could change if federal government declassified marijuana or reclassify it as something other than Schedule I controlled substance. This is because employees must consider things like what if an employee were to have an accident at work, test positive for THC, and gets fired, would the business owner have to provide unemployment benefits? And what if a business owner were to suspect that employees are coming to work high? What's the disciplinary actions that he could take? However, if New Mexico does legalize recreational marijuana use, the new laws is likely to answer most of these questions. In the meantime, some of the things businesses could do to prepare is craft a clear bill for drug policies right now. Also, ask the attorney for guidance on the proper way to train and notify employees of these policies that's going to be enacted. And last but not least, also have an attorney review and update the policy annually as laws will continue to change both for the state and within the federal government. New Mexico employees can find the full text of House Bill 356, the cannabis regulations, on its website, newmexico.gov. Pay special attention to Section 24, which addresses employers' rights and obligations. The legal cannabis continue to change. What you don't know can hurt your company. With that being said, that'll be my show for today. So I hope you enjoyed. Please give me a like or get subscribed down below or put a comment if you thank you. Until next time, this is Newance Podcast, and I'm your host, Arnel Newton. Thank you so much.